my name is Abby Costello, and as Nate pointed out, I've only been with Medina Soil and Water Conservation District for 1 year as of today. So it's been a very interesting year, but I've been really glad to be with them. And my title is a Watershed Education Specialist. So we'll get into what that means in a second, but I just wanted to say a little bit about who I am and what some of my experience is. I have a degree in education and wildlife resource management. Before working with Medina, I worked for the Cleveland Metro Parks. I was an AmeriCorps member at Raccoon Creek Partnership, and that's in Southern Ohio, so they have a lot of mine drainage issues. So up here we have very different water issues. I was with the USDA, Ohio EPA, ODNR, and Wayne National Forest. And I just love nature, wildlife, and our waters. So I often have people ask me what my ideal job is, and I say any job where I can spend a day in a stream, and that's a good day. So. And now we get into a little bit about what my job is. So besides being a mouthful to say, a watershed education specialist is a relatively new position. Medina Soil and Water created this position last year, and I was lucky to get it. But Medina County Soil and Water in general provides the community with education and guidance and technical assistance when it comes to promoting using the soils and the waters wisely and as a resource that affects everybody. So my position looks at everyone's issues that they're struggling with in a larger grand scheme kind of way. So every issue, whether it's learning about how to use the land or the water, or how to fix a water issue, like if you have flooding on your property, people will call us. And one easy way is to just streamline it, make it quicker, but that only solves the problem for you. It doesn't solve the problem for the larger community. So I look at how everything is connected. And I might not need to cover this too much because it seems like everybody knew what a watershed is, but it is just the land where water is shed to a common body of water. So sometimes you'll hear them called like drainage basins, and that's also a watershed. Now, if you look in the picture at the bottom right, you'll see that Medina is kind of a little bit weird. Let me see if I can get my pointer. There we go. So you'll see that there is this line that goes right through Medina County, and that is a continental divide. So half of Medina, this part, drains to Lake Erie. So it's in the Lake Erie watershed. And the lower part, below the continental divide, flows to the Ohio River. So where my office is right about where my little laser pointer is, and is right near Chippewa Lake. So we're in the Chippewa Lake watershed. And oftentimes I hear people talk about watersheds as puzzle pieces, but I also like to think of them as the little nesting dolls because smaller ones sit inside of larger ones. So we have our, oh, there we go. There's my pointer. So in the yellow down here, that is Chippewa Creek watershed, and that flows into the larger Chippewa Creek, and then to the Tuscarawas, then down through the Muskingum, and then all the way down the Ohio River to the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. So whenever I'm trying to solve problems for people with drainage issues, flooding issues, land issues, I know that anything that I do in that region will affect the whole like Gulf of Mexico. And if I do anything above the continental divide, that's going to affect Lake Erie. So that does make a difference because Lake Erie is fresh water. So the part that is above the continental divide, we have to start thinking about salting roads, how much of that is going to get washed away and make Lake Erie more salty, because it's one of our limited resources of fresh water. So each watershed has its own issues, but they all create a larger picture. So Nate mentioned a little bit that I've been helping them out with some grants and some planning. And one of the biggest things that is part of my job is creating a NPSIS plan. That's short for a non-point source oh my gosh, sorry, it's been a long day. Implementation strategy. So what that is looking at is, in Chippewa Lake, we have water pollution issues, and we're trying to see where it's coming from. It's not coming from a specific source like a factory, so it's non-point source. So in this document that I'm creating, I create a profile of how the land is being used, you know, its history, the assessment of if the water is good or bad. Right now, it's not attaining, so it's pretty bad right now. So with this plan, we can use it to get grant money. So as I work on this, it's going to be a tool for like Medina County Parks to then get funding for projects like what they're doing at Chippewa Lake. So it's probably the biggest thing that I'm working on, but COVID kind of threw a wrench in that, and things started to have to change a little bit. We couldn't do as much outdoor activities, but one of my favorite things to do with my job is to gather data, and that is through sampling. So if you guys have streams that go through your property and you're curious what the quality of the water is, I'm happy to get your permission to go out there and to sample it. It's also interesting to see what it's like on a regular day versus when it's raining. You'll get to find out how much pollution's running into your streams through rainstorms. So I've been working with the Rocky River Watershed Council and sampling different streams that have not been sampled before. And also I found out through this process while we were gathering data that one of our streams is incorrectly named. If you are familiar with Medina through most of your life, you'll know of Bradway Creek that runs through Reagan Park. Well, on Google Maps, you'll notice that it's Broadway Creek. So I'm actually trying to get it renamed properly. So if it weren't for gathering data, I wouldn't have noticed that. So it's something that I'm happy to do, is to give streams back their proper names. So another service that I provide is site visits. So for example, if you have property and you've had flooding issues, or anybody in the community can call us, or if you're just interested in how your business or land can be used to help water, something that I do is I will pull up maps where, like, this is the University of Akron, and you can see that there's 2 streams that go around it, and this blue area is the floodplain. So I'll pull up technical maps, and then I can come out and take a look and make suggestions. Like if all of a sudden a parking lot is flooding, I'll start to see where that water is coming from. I bring out information about drainage and brochures, like how to do rain gardens, to possibly collect water and let it soak in before it just turns into runoff where it floods across the property. So Medina Soil and Water does a whole lot. If you need expertise with ponds or soils or weed management, like if you have invasive weeds coming onto your property, you could always reach out to us. But some of what we usually focus on is a lot of education. So we do community programs like Earth Day. Usually we reach about 2,000 people. This year it was canceled. Same with the Envirothon was canceled too, but and the fair was also. But we usually do a lot of public outreach. and get information out to people on how they can help out. So one of the things that we had a lot of success with this year was we started native plant sale. People love gardening, they love landscaping, and a lot of people also love like butterflies, bees, hummingbirds, things like that. And our native plants are the best way to improve the habitat. So we worked with the nursery and we were able to sell over 1,500 plants this year, native plants, to about 50 households. So it's something that we're finding what our community needs, what no one else is providing, and we're stepping in and helping out like that. But a lot of this year, my job has kind of shifted into more of the education aspect of the Watershed Education Specialist position. And I've had to create digital classes. We have a 2-hour tutorial on creating your own rain garden. And this could be for businesses, individuals, churches, just green space areas where you can see this person was directing all their water through a pipe into this basin, which is going to be their rain garden. So they're planting it with native plants that have really deep roots, and all that water can soak in to the ground instead of going down into the street and taking any pollution with it. So, and also we created a new YouTube channel. So that has been interesting. I had no experience with any of that, so it was just kind of being thrown into the pool and figuring out how to swim. But it's been a nice process because we've gotten our annual meeting up there, and it's just been a great way to reach out to people. But this is usually a little more of some of the activities I do with kids. Before COVID, we had a township day. So I was able to show kids what a watershed was and how we affect it. Third graders came out to learn about our government agency, and I had set up like this little blue tablecloth was a stream. It goes into the pool, which is the lake. And around that, we had a construction site, the farm site with all the little animals, and behind them is their manure. And then we have the residential. So kids were able to pick up things like oil spills, animal waste, garbage, or dog poo, and throw it in the water because they acted as a storm. So they moved everything in and moved it down, and it was a very simple way to show what a watershed was. So we like having fun like that, and anytime you can talk about like dog poo with kids, it's just a fun time. They just laugh so much, and it's just wonderful. But we also do a lot of educational brochures, and we're always looking for new places to put these out. So we have ones on rain barrels, rain gardens, watersheds, pervious surfaces like parking lots that actually let the rain soak down in through the parking lot. So we have information that we are always willing to hand out. This is free. If you're ever looking for information, we're happy to provide it at no cost. So, and then we do articles about our individual impact on waters. You can see down here, a lot of times people don't know if you run your faucet for a minute, that's about 2 gallons of water. Or if you use one piece of paper, that's about 3 gallons of water that you're using. So we try just to reach as many people about our impact on waters.